Okay, alright, DOHCgarage. Today we're working on a 2003 Ford Windstar. We're doing the inner outer tie rods on both sides. So I guess I just kind of wanted to show you to take this off. It's not that hard. You're just going to need a 19 mil impact. Take that off. There'll be this adjustment nut. You crack that nut to the left and it'll come off. So then you'll have your inner tie rod in there, as you can see. It's just slapping around in there. You're gonna need the tool, and you get the tool around there to take it off, which I'm gonna show you that right away here. But when you go to take your old inner and outer tie rod off, make sure after you get your boot off and stuff, you'll have your boot, there'll be a clip and whatnot. Here's that clip right here. Be a clip like this on there. I can show you on the other side here. But you gotta make sure that you mark that with a marker or tape or whatever, so that you can kind of roughly judge the distance of your new tie rods and your wheel alignment. So as you can see on this side, I haven't taken it off yet. This is going to be my 19 mil. There'll be a cotter pin that goes through it. Take your cotter pin off. Then you're going to take this, you're going to crack it with a wrench. Crack it. Once you get this off, then you'll be able to, like, you'll spin your tie rod off here. Then you'll be able to pull your boot off. Okay, so I'm just going to take my impact and my 18 mil is what it is. Take the nut off. Then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take a hammer and smack this. You take a hammer and hit it right here. Careful you don't hit your shield. Give her a couple hits. It'll press off. You'll see it'll come off. And then what will happen is you'll be able to spin your tie rod off. Count how many turns. So that's 1 turn, 2 turn, 3 turn. Make sure you count how many turns. Mark your nut with a marker right there. Spin this off. Spin the nut off. Take your boot off. And then you don't have to put the tie rod back on. And I'll show you what you kind of got to do next here. You'll be able to spin this off, count your turns, pull your boot off. Okay, so like I was saying before, take a paint marker or tape. Paint marker probably work a little bit better because the boot might take the tape off. So mark it, then you'll be able to spin your nut off, then you can take your boot off. Okay, so I just pulled all that off. Now I'm just gonna slide my boot off. And there's the other inner tie rod. Okay, so now I put my nut back to where that mark is. Okay, so this is the inner tie rod tool I'm gonna use. Basically what you do is you slide this over, you get this right on there, you tighten down your clamps, just like an exhaust clamp, and then you take your ratchet, get it in there with an impact, you'll be able to spin that out. Now what you do is you get it clamped on the inner tie rod like that, and then this is the setup I'm going to be using to get it off. Goes in right there, and so this is the setup that I decided to use to get it off. I don't know if you can see that. That's the thing I got on there, right there. That's the inner tie rod itself. So I'm gonna use this. As you can see, it's in there, right there. I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna crack this to the left here. And then hopefully the inner tire will spin out. It should spin out. This is a tool that I use. You can buy different tools to do it, but this is the tool that I use to do it, and I've been successful. So I'm gonna crack this and hopefully it comes out. So what I'm gonna try and do is I'm gonna try and use impact on it and see if I can maybe get it with that. I don't know if it's gonna work or not, but we'll see. I don't know if it's on 3. Oh, yeah, it is on 3. Tight. Okay, so I got down on the ground and I only used, instead of using 2 extensions, I just used 1, like this. I just used 1 and I was able to crack it and get it to turn. So now I can pull this off, and I should be able to just spin this tie rod out now. I should be able to spin it out. See how the tie rod's spinning now? You should be able to spin the tie rod out. So spin this guy out. 1 sec. See how. And then there be your inner tie rod. So you just do the same thing. Go on the other side. Get this on as tight as you can. And then, like I said, make sure you keep your markings the same or whatever, because you're going to be building your tie rod when you go to put it back in. And I'm pretty sure you're supposed to use Loctite on the inner tie rods as well. So that one's off. I'm gonna go get the other one off, do the same thing, and then I'll show you what to do when you go to put them back together on how to get it done or whatever. These were 14 mils. Just tighten it up with my ratchet wrench as tight as I can get it. I did hit it with impact a little bit. I think it did help a bit. It shocked it, but that's how you get that off. So I'm gonna go do the other one here, same thing. Okay, so now I'm on the other side. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna slide this along up here. Sorry about the camera angle. Slide this up here. I'm gonna get it kind of over the tie rod. And then I take my 14 mil. Sorry, I take my 14 mil ratchet wrench and then ratchet wrench as tight as I can get it, and then do the same thing. So just give me a minute here. I wish I could set this up so you can kind of see what I'm doing. Maybe I can. Just give me a minute. I could just set it up a little bit. Okay, so I'm just gonna reach in here. Gotta get it a little bit further on the tie rod because you don't want it to be. You want to try and get it like kind of on where the hex part is. Of course. So you're gonna want to try and get it to at least like on the middle of the tie rod. I can show you. Basically, you want to kind of get it. See how there's a hex part right here? You want to kind of get it right there on the tie rod. If you get it right here, it's just gonna slip off. If you get it right here, it'll bite into that, and then you'll be able to get it off. But that's what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push this on all the way onto that part where the hex is. I gotta loosen these nuts a bit. Get that on there, same thing, break it bar there, crack it off, and then I'll show you what to do. And then always make sure that you pay attention to where your nut was. I marked it. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then I'll get back to you. Okay, so now I have my setup here. I got it kind of as far back as I can have it. I got these as tight as I can get them. This is the setup that I'm using here, same as the other side. I'm just gonna kind of give her a good crack and hopefully she comes. Oh. So I'm pretty sure that it came there. So you should be able to ratchet it out. So this is my new inner tie rod. This is my old inner tie rod. And if you can see, this one's a little bit, the new one's a bit longer than the other one. I have it pretty well lined right up. And so it's a little bit longer. So wherever that mark is that you had, you obviously want to have it there. But you also got to compensate for this. So I'm pretty sure what's going to happen is when I go to put this on, if I put this exactly where that is, the steering wheel is going to be towed out this way. So what I'm going to have to do, instead of doing 18.5 turns, I'm going to have to do like probably like 20 turns or something like that. But what I'm going to do to compensate for this is I'm going to put my nut to the end of where this nut is here and try and see what happens when I put the tie rod on there. So I'm just going to spin this nut on basically to rate almost at the end right there, kind of close to compensate for this here. So we'll see what happens. I think it'll be like relatively close. And these new inner tie rods did come with Loctite in them, so that's good. But yeah, you just line these up to exactly where they are. Right there. It's about there. And then you look right there. And then you just compensate for it. So we'll see what happens. And then so what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this one on here. And then same way, you're gonna spin it on. You could wrench it on, but you're probably not gonna be able to get a wrench on it. So we're gonna do the same thing, tighten it with the inner tie rod tool. And then what I'll do is I'll take the new outer tie rod. I think this is the old one or whatever. I'll take the new outer tie rod, put it on, and then even put this one to here and kind of just look at the difference. Okay, so what I ended up doing here was I lined the tie rods up like that. I kind of want to get the steering to where it was before. So what my plan of attack was to, obviously I counted my turns, it was 18.5. This tie rod is just a tad bit bigger. The inner tie rod itself is like that much bigger than the actual, this inner tie rod, the old one. So what I did to compensate for it was I 29 turns. I matched that up exactly. I just took this and basically made it so it's flush, and then so I have it kind of pretty close to where it was, almost. I think I actually got to go one turn out maybe. So what I'll do is I'll take my marker and then I'll mark it right here, move this nut out of the way or whatever, back it off, take my marker, and then I'll just mark it right there where I want it. So I'll mark it right here, right there. And then I'll go put the new inner tie rod on same way. Right, I'll take this outer tie rod off when I'm installing it, and then I'll just put the tool around here again and tighten it on, and hopefully the steering's kind of relatively close to what it was before.
Okay, so I found a pretty easy way to get this inner tie rod tight rather than using that tool again and getting it on there. It's kind of a pain in the ass. So what I did was I just grabbed my crescent wrench and I got it on there from the back here. And I was able to get on here and tighten it down just like so here. Get on there just like that, and then you'll be able to tighten it on. I think I had it this way. I don't remember actually I had it, but there we go, like that. So then you can get from the back and you just crank down on it and you can tighten it. So I'm probably gonna do the same thing on the other side. So that's tight. Gotta go do the other side now. Okay, so this one was kind of being a pain in the ass, but I was still, you gotta twist it in by hand. If it doesn't thread in, just get one of these on it, or crescent wrench, whatever. Get in there. And this is on the passenger side I'm doing now. Should be able to get in there just like this. Get on there, like so, and then you'll be able to tighten and move the inner tie rod.
Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll take my outer tie rod and I'll spin it on to where that mark is right there. I actually have it already kind of, I counted the turns or whatever and pre-measured it or whatever, but so I'm going to do 25 turns and thread this on. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So I'm kind of, I think I'm a bit over actually, so I might go back, but I think it was 25. I'll have to look. What was it? Right front was 18. Okay. So if I remember correctly, I had it back right to there. So I think it was about 24 turns then. So it'd be about there. And that's kind of generally close to where the wheel is. I haven't moved it yet. So we'll see here. And then of course you gotta put your grease work in too. My bad, I'm a dumbass, and you got to put your boot on first. So put your boot on, and then you'll be able to put your outer tie rod on, and then just whatever your turns. Okay, so you're gonna take your boot, take your adjustment nut off, slide your boot on to where it needs to go, and it'll come with new bands. So as you can see, I'm just gonna slide the boot onto the rack, and you got to make sure that you line up. There's a little, yes, I'll show you that real quick. There's a little hose right here, this little hole, you got to line that up on the rack. Right at the top there, that little hose on the right there, that has to go in there, and the fluid's going to be going through there, so if you don't have that hooked up, then it's going to leak everywhere. So make sure when you put the boot on, that you line that, have that facing up. So I'm gonna go put the boot on. right to where it lines up with that. And I'll just make sure I just go in there and push that on there on that hose, and then it'll be good. Okay, so once you got your boots on and you got your clamps on, then you're gonna count your turns right there. I counted 24.5 turns, so I can drop it in there like so, and then you put your grease zerk on, tighten your bolt, spin your nut back. Once you tighten that this way, that'll lock your tie rod, and then that's how you do the inner and the outer tie rods. I'll show you what it looks like here in a minute. Okay, so I couldn't film the rest unfortunately, but that's what it's gonna look like when you're done. Make sure you tighten this adjustment nut. Don't forget that. Make sure you put your cotter pin in too. And I ended up using zip tie for the clamp down there, right down there. I ended up using zip tie. It works perfect. The other band was just giving me trouble, but that's it. We got inner outer tie rods on her. I'm hoping I don't have to give it a wheel alignment, but I might. I don't know. We'll see, I guess. Yeah, I got both of them done. And then the outer's on, and we'll see what happens here.